Hello everybody, my name is Nick. I've been making these videos of my racing exploits in Vtec Club and in Roadster Cup and Speed SF and USTCC, and mostly I make these for myself. I mean, obviously, I throw in like the MLG stuff just kind of for fun, but I really make these videos for myself because I watch them personally, and I'm very critical of myself. I watch what I'm doing in the car, and I use them as a tool to help me improve. And I was watching one of these videos the other day, and I thought, why not just share the things that I'm thinking with both of my subscribers? I mean, I'm a professional driving instructor as well. I try to help people improve their driving. So here's another way that I could maybe do that. By showing you guys what I'm doing behind the wheel to improve myself, maybe it can help you improve yourselves as well. So let's get right into it. The video I chose to start with is Vtec Club Chuckwalla, because let's face it, not a great lap. It was worth second place, but there's a lot of mistakes in this one. So I thought it was a really good place to start and show you all the things that I could have done better, and hopefully will do better the next time you go back to Chuckwalla. So here we go, we've got this lovely picture of Team IMS in front of the F22 Miata. This is the car that I was driving during the event. Alright, here we go, Vtec Club round 3. Alright, now the first thing I'm thinking here, this is the last corner of the lap. So I'm coming up on this EF here. He's in a different class, I'm in the limited class, so this is a fast car I'm driving here. And this is the last corner, it leads onto a straightaway. Now the last corner, even the last part of a corner, is always going to be the most important part, because however fast you're going coming out of that turn, the effect of that is going to compound the entire way down the straightaway. So if you're going 5 miles an hour kind of too slow, well, you're going to be going 5 miles an hour too slow on the straight, and in the middle of the straight, and at the end of the straight. But if you can find another extra mile an hour coming out of that turn, well, you're going to have that extra mile an hour right as you get to the straightaway, and then that acceleration is going to compound the whole way down the straightaway. You might have 2 or even 3 miles an hour extra at the end of the straight. I'm probably exaggerating a little bit the MPH, but you get the idea. So right now what I'm doing is I'm thinking, how can I line myself up so that this car is not going to be in my way and holding me up as I'm trying to accelerate onto the straight to make sure I can get the best possible exit and carry all that speed. So I got in slow-mo here now, half speed. So coming around, I'm purposely putting a gap there, but now I'm getting on the throttle. You can see a little bit oversteer now. Hit 4th gear, and I go around him pretty cleanly. I'm able to get by him without having to sacrifice any speed. Back up to full speed now. Alright, coming up on first corner here. No brakes coming to the first turn, but then medium brake, I'd say. Medium brake coming into this right-hander here. Downshift. And really the goal through this turn here is to try to get through it while keeping the left 2 tires, the front and the rear, on their limit as much as possible. I'm not really trying to oversteer here. I'm just trying to keep the momentum up because there's a small straightaway coming up right after. Turn in, get back to the throttle, and it didn't go so well. This car does have a fair amount of torque, 230 horsepower at the wheels. I'm not actually sure what the torque number is, but I got on the throttle while I was already over at that limit, hit a little bump in the road, and that caused the back end to want to come around on me there. Now I'm counter steering. I'm not going off track. I'm staying on track here, but it could be going a little bit faster. I still have my foot on the throttle. I'm still trying to accelerate, but with all that friction of the slide in the rear end, it's not accelerating as efficiently as it could be. On the straightaway, still on track, using all the space. Turning in again, this corner right here, trying to keep keep the tires as close to their lateral limit as possible, because we got a pretty decent straightaway coming up after. All right, coming to this turn, downshift, turn in. Now this is the longest, most painful wait for that apex ever, seriously. In fact, I even apexed a little bit too soon in this video. But again, now this car kind of bridges the gap between momentum and a power car, because it is very light and it does have a good amount of power for a Miata. Granted, 230 is not a huge number, but for a car this light with a small wheelbase like this, it's pretty decent. So it's kind of halfway in between momentum and power. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to, yes, carry as much momentum as possible, but I still want to be able to accelerate coming out of this turn. Now, a normal Miata, after you turn, you can basically go to full throttle through this turn right away. No, it's not the case in this car right here. You can see I'm getting on the throttle. In fact, I'll slow it down a little bit. I'm getting on the throttle, counter steering. I'm trying to keep it right at that limit. You can see I'm moving my hands back and forth a little bit, dealing with the tire slip, trying to keep the trajectory the same while never having to lift off the throttle at the same time. And this corner continues on. It's kind of 2 turns in one. It's like a big stretched version of the Andretti hairpin at Laguna Seca. Full throttle coming out at this point. Speed it back up, full speed. And brake and downshift for this corner right here. Again, right on the limit of traction. But now this is a really tricky entry right here, because you never really get a chance to get the speed you want in between those 2 turns, because this corner, the second right-hander is coming up, and you actually have to brake while turning into this one. So you're sacrificing quite a bit on the first right-hander here, because you want to straighten out the approach to the second right-hander as much as you can. So you can't really go your full pace through the first. You can't really go your full pace through the first corner because you'd be way over there off in the dirt somewhere. It's just not going to work. So you sacrifice, you turn in a little bit late for the first one, straighten off your exit so that you can kind of straighten out your braking zone a little bit. It's never going to be totally straight. Well, it could be, but you'd be sacrificing speed elsewhere. So a little bit of a sideways, a little bit of a turning braking zone as we set up for this right-hander. You point in, you try to get as far up onto this curve as possible. Bump right there. And, well, that didn't work out so well either, did it? Once again, I was a little over exuberant with my throttle application there. I have quite a bit of steering input in there trying to keep the car out of the dirt. And you'll notice I'm not really accelerating too much. In fact, I'll back up a little bit so you can watch this at full speed. Not really accelerating coming out of this turn. Hit that, goes sideways, and I have to pull out of the throttle just to save it. Then I can get back in the gas, but I've lost a lot of time there, especially since there's a straightaway right here. All right, up to fifth, back on the brakes, down to fourth, turn in. Now, I have heard. Now, this is my first time at Chuckwalla, so I was just trying to figure it out as I went, but I have heard that in a well-tuned car, you should be able to get to maintain full throttle all the way through this right-hander and then just use a lot of brake coming to the left-hander. They call this kind of the mini corkscrew, I guess. Now, I'm not 100% convinced I could do that in this car. It is going pretty quick at this point, 5th gear with an S2000 trans. It's moving. So the car felt like it was pretty much at its limited grip already, braking, going down to 4th before the right-hander and into the braking zone into the left-hander. I didn't really have much left. I don't think I could have gone any faster through there, but let's take a look and see what you think. Up a little bit more. All right. Speed through here, up to 5th gear, brake a little bit, down into 4th, turn it in. Car's not really getting sideways, but on the brakes, it is right near the limit of braking traction. Can't really see a whole lot of steering wheel motion in there, which leads me to believe there's probably some more speed left to be had. So maybe those guys are right. Maybe everybody was right telling me that I could have carried more speed in. It's probably true. I probably could have carried more speed. A little bit of oversteer coming up over the top to the left, but very, very minor. It's not really hurting me with speed or anything. And a little bit of oversteer, but I can keep the car to the left. Now, I'm keeping the car to the left here because it's another sacrifice corner. You come up over a crest, you're never going to have much speed through there no matter what you do. So you sacrifice the speed over the top in favor of this right-hand turn right here, because this leads onto a pretty long straightaway that's going up a hill. So your exit speed is crucial here. So I keep the car to the left, and then once again we go back to momentum mode. I'm trying to keep as much momentum through this turn as possible. Kiss that apex right there. Get on the throttle coming out. Just a touch oversteer, but that's really not a bad thing. And then it's full throttle all the way up the hill. All the way to 5th gear. Now, these corners coming up are a couple of my favorites. Down to 4th gear, turn it in. Super high speed through here. You got a ton of speed going through both of these corners, and really the challenge here is to not lose traction between the two in the transition from that right-hander to the left-hander. That's where it can get a little tricky, depending on how stiff your car is, depending on how the shocks are valved, your steering ratio, all these kind of things. You might have to be more or less careful. Now, we're still tuning this car up. We got a prototype suspension in here made by Gears, and it's fantastic so far. Could still use a little more tuning for this aero car with all this extra power. And of course, we'll be doing that on the next run. But on this one, it had a little bit more motion than I would have wanted, so I had to be a little bit careful here in this transition. So let's back it up just a bit, and I'll slow it down just a little bit. So I turn in, back to throttle, maintenance throttle, carrying speed through here, clip the first apex, look for the second one, turn it in. I couldn't turn the wheel that fast. Notice how I had to pull my hands out just a little bit right in the middle. That's because the rear tire started to have just a bit of slip. I'm trying to keep that slip in control. A little slip is okay. It lets you rotate the car, stay on the throttle, but too much and you're losing speed and you're going to go wide of where you want to be. So just keep that little bit of steering, taking out to manage that rear end slip and keep the speed up. I think that was a pretty good run through there, actually. I don't think there was too much more speed to be had. Maybe I could have gotten the throttle just a hair sooner coming out. Notice that there's about a foot between me and the edge here on the right. Now, I have heard from some people that you don't necessarily want to use all the space on the right, but the car felt like it wanted to be there. It felt like I was carrying good speed, so I think that was all right. Coming up to the bowl, this is another cool corner. Now, you notice there's another car here. I'm thinking about where he's going to be, where I'm going to be as I come out of here and get on the throttle. What I really want to do is I want to catch him on the exit so that I can get past him before the next corner entry, which I'm more or less done, although I had a little bit of space over there on the right that I could have used to carry more speed through here. This one, tricky corner, actually. It's deceptive. It looks like it's pretty simple, just a 9-degree turn, but man, if I had one lap where I was totally satisfied with that corner, it wasn't this one, that's for sure, and it was certainly a rare thing. It's a lot wider, and you can carry a lot more speed there than I originally anticipated. So the speed that I was carrying right here looked pretty good for my entry angle, but my entry angle wasn't perfect. So if I was all the way over on the right, not passing that Civic in the first on the straightaway, then that would not have been fast enough. And I think that's about the speed that I was going even when I had the full track available to me. Let's actually back up just a bit. I didn't really talk about the bowl. This bowl is also one of my favorite corners on this track. The banking here lets you carry an incredible amount of speed, and really kind of brought me back to my oval racing days, except, you know, maybe if I'd been oval racing in Australia. So it's a really cool corner. There's a couple ways you can go through it. I was trying to keep it pretty much as tight as I could because I could almost get to full throttle about halfway through. Right about here, I'm aiming for the bottom. I'm squeezing the throttle on more and more. I'm trying to get to full throttle as quickly as I can without causing oversteer. Now I got a little bit right there, just a little bit. And you notice I wasn't able to get all the way down to that apex. Now that's not because the car wouldn't go there. It's because I'm kind of cutting my losses here. If I had gone further down, I would have caused more tire slip and lost a little bit more momentum. And because we're already at such a high speed here, I'm trying to keep as much momentum as possible. So I decided to sacrifice a little bit of distance travel in favor of a little bit more rolling speed, especially since I'm catching this car here. And really my focus now is trying to get past him as quickly and as efficiently as possible so as not to interfere with the lap. All right, moving on. Get past the Civic, he gives me a point by. Trying to get over to the right as much as I can. Get through this corner again. A little bit oversteer right in the middle, so that's good. I feel like my speed was good there, but again, not using as much space as I could have. Now, fast entry there. Ooh, and it goes kind of wrong towards the exit. So let's try that one more time. So the entry looked really good, just a tiny bit of oversteer coming in, which is all right. It was just enough to have that little slip angle of the tire right there. Back to the throttle as I turn in. It's looking good as I come up to the apex, but then, oh, too much throttle. Notice I had to even move my hands on the wheel there, just to try to keep the thing in check without going off. But the difference between this one and the one earlier on in the video, in the lap, was that this time, I don't feel like I lost that much speed, surprisingly. I was able to keep my foot basically to the floor and just sort of power through it in this sort of low-angle drift. Maybe I lost a hundredth, but not a whole lot. I actually think it worked out okay. Coming up to the last corner here, full throttle, hard on the brakes, down to third gear, turn in. Now there's a ton of ways you can go through this turn. If there's a better way than what I'm doing here, feel free to let me know. But this felt pretty good for this car. I did kind of a mid-entry. Get on the brakes, down into third gear, turn it in, and I'm just trying, it's all about patience. I'm just trying to set myself up for a good exit here, because again, there's that straightaway coming up. So, trying to not travel too far, and I'm trying to carry as much speed as possible and also set myself for a good exit. So I get on the throttle there, just a little bit of oversteer, trying to keep that right there on that edge, up to full throttle pretty quickly up to fourth gear, and that felt like a pretty good corner, felt like a pretty good exit. I'm not sure if there's a whole lot more to be had there, unless there's some more about the line that I don't know yet, because I'm still a noob at this track. So that was good for a 2-minute .04, 4/10 away from 159, which is kind of my goal for the day. So I didn't quite get there, but you know, it gives me a goal for next time. And there's obviously a ton of room to improve on that lap, so I'm not too worried about it. I think it's going to be pretty easy to get down to that 159. Here I am with and there I go. Got that pretty cool trophy from ASR, which was actually piece. Apparently, you could bolt that into a DC-5, and that is literally a frame brace. So that's pretty cool. Well, there you go. Thank you very much for watching. If you know more than I do about this, please let me know. If you know more about Chuckwalla, I'd love to hear from you. So thank you so much for watching. I hope this was kind of interesting for you. It was kind of fun for me to make. I've never done anything like this before. And maybe if you like it, if I don't feel too awkward about watching myself do this, maybe I'll make some more. So if there's a video that I already have up here of a certain lap that you would like to see me be extremely critical of myself on, because I'm very good at that, let me know, and I'll do that one too. Thank you so much for watching.